Hello everybody and welcome back to another Outriders video. Today I've got a special one for you. I got to take part in a private behind closed doors dev Q&A session due to being an Outriders ambassador. And I've got a lot of really good info that's not yet been released on the Outriders broadcasts. Just before we get started, make sure you hit that subscribe button for more Outriders information, or check out any of my social links down in the description. I could be live on Twitch right now, or come and get me in my Discord and ask any questions for the game, or give me any questions that I might not know the answer to that I could put forward during the next Q&A session. This video is going to be split up into 5 different sections. We're going to have general, expeditions, guns, skills and gameplay, lore, and then some closing words at the end. In the background you're going to see my Pyromancer gameplay from when I got to go hands-on with the game itself. I got 2 hours to play it. I'll link the video of my early impressions down below in the description. So first of all, let's get right into it and we'll start with general. First of all, they talked about regarding future content support, and they pretty much said if people love the game they will think about what comes next. They're very focused on the release right now, and the delivery of what the fundamentals of what Outriders is going to be is the most important. But they've prepped, the content's ready, they've got it all in place so that adding content is really easy. They're not currently considering PvP, but it has been a thought of theirs in the past. They're aware of the importance of things like Twitch extensions and allowing Twitch viewers to be able to interact with streamers. They're working on something that's not going to be available at launch, but it's definitely in the pipeline. Seasonal events are something that they would like to consider, but once again, they're very much concentrating on launch right now. They've got many untold stories and bits of information on the back burner that they're ready to go with, but again, just like the previous answers, they're very much concentrated on a successful launch. Then another question was how long the game is. They said it's really hard to give an answer for this because you got to weigh up if you just do the main scenario, if you do side quests, if you go and do a little bit of grinding, and also difficulty has a huge impact on how long things are going to take you. What they did say though is that it's a very long game. And the people over at People Can Fly firmly believe that everyone's going to be happy with the amount of content that you're going to be paying for. They feel like they put enough value in there for the price tag. You can ignore all of the side quests if you liked, but if you miss one, you're always available to go back and do it. And you can play it at your current difficulty level, you can play it at an easier one, or you can play it at a harder one. There's going to be cross-save across all platforms if they're like for like. So for instance, PS4 and PS5 will be compatible, but a PS4 and an Xbox Series X won't be. They are working on it and it's something that they have thought about, but it's on the back burner now as they're concentrating on launch. You're going to be able to have 6 different character slots. So you're going to be able to at least put 1 class in each slot, and then there's a further 2 for any kind of experimentation that you want to do. There's going to be no loadout style system at launch. They had planned to do it, but right now they're thinking that it's just not feasible for them to get in before the launch window. But what they have thought about is making the system easy to switch gear and switch loadouts as easy as possible without actually having a loadout system. So it's something they're going to keep an eye on. Inventory is limited by slots per equipment piece. So if you're running out of inventory space and you need to scrap items, you're going to be limited, say, by your head armor could get full, just like I guess it is in Destiny, where I think you can carry 9 pieces of equipment on you. It's limited by that actual slot. But what they did say, they didn't give us an exact number. They feel that there is enough slots for you to be able to switch up builds and keep it interesting and not run out. They did experiment with an unlimited loot pool, but people weren't scrapping things for resources. It tended to be that people then would hoard things, so they decided against that. There is going to be a vault. They didn't mention how many slots that was going to have available in the public areas. But when I played the game, I did notice that was 100 slots big, which seems a little bit low for a looter shooter. Everybody has their own instanced loot, so you've got no worries with anybody running in and picking up your loot. They did try out shareable loot, but they found that after some balancing and maybe people being 10 levels below people and 10 levels above people, that it was better just for everybody to have their own loot. But then they also found that this encouraged players to go out and create their own builds and not necessarily take ideas from other people. You can play the game solo and your experience in the game will be very, very good. The world tier system allows you to mix and match the difficulty, and you get to choose how hard you want the game to be. As a solo player with good equipment and a good build, you'll be able to finish the campaign no problem by yourself. Post-campaign content is completely soloable as well, but it will be hard and it will be much more of a challenge, especially when you're reaching the very last expedition. There's no hard limitations on saying that you must be in a team of 3 for any of the content. So solo, 2-player or 3-player is accessible for everything from launch across the board. Right now, anything that they're working on, they're currently balancing for all solo, duo and trio parties. And they're essentially trying to get that difficulty absolutely right no matter what size of your party. They are going to be relying on platform solutions like Steam Chat, Discord for in-game voice chat, so your Xbox Live chat and all the rest of it. It doesn't have an inbuilt voice system. If you're playing on PC, there's going to be a borderless windowed option, so you can flip between dual monitors really, really easy. And next gen console performance is actually going to be a thing. PS4 to PS5, it's going to run better on PS5, it's going to run better on Xbox Series X, but they currently said that the information for that is secret on what the performance enhancements are going to be. Controllers are supported on PC as expected, and there'll be a very slight aim assist, but not too intrusive. If you don't like aim assist, there is an option to disable it though. The convoy truck that you might have seen in some videos with how you get around is completely customizable, but everything is cosmetic and it cannot be driven. It's just essentially what you see. Character creation is absolutely subjective. Some say that Outriders character creation is good enough because they're able to make the character the way they want, whereas others say it might not be enough. It's not hugely extensive with crazy sliders or anything like that, but it's enough to make every character unique. And that was it for general. Next they moved on to expeditions. There'll be matchmaking for expeditions, so don't worry about if you've got nobody else that you know that's bought the game, you'll be able to matchmake. At launch there's going to be 14 completely new expeditions on completely new maps. Some are similar in other regions to the other parts of the world you'll already have seen while playing the campaign, and therefore that way it allows them to have story and lore connections. But the maps are completely different and they're exclusive to the expeditions. There was no concern that timed based rewards would limit the meta in the expeditions. Creating builds and finding solutions was a really important pillar in the game, and there's definitely space for your own builds and theory crafting, and they didn't want there to be a strict meta, so anything that you might be only able to get for the first week is certainly not going to impact somebody that can't get it in the second week. The space for experimentation in creating builds from all the loot that you're going to get is huge. They expect it to be absolutely massive. They really don't want the game to be restricted to a singular meta. They did find in playtesting that there were many different ways then to build your character, and if they did find a solution that was too OP, or if they did find out that once the game's launched they see everybody being attracted to one play style, the game's completely editable, really easy. They can nerf and they can buff as needed on the fly. Essentially they want them to be no one proper way to play Outriders. They want multiple ways and everybody to play as they want to and feel super powerful and be able to complete all the content. There's going to be some elements and mechanics in the expeditions that are not in the main campaign, but they're keeping that a surprise for now. Because essentially they want the player to have to think and go, actually, what's the best way to tackle this problem? Even though they're new mechanics, they're not completely different though from what you'll already have experienced. They said balancing has been the most difficult part of the game because there's so many different ways to build a character, but like I said before, they're going to be able to balance on the fly, and they're definitely going to be observing the meta and buffing and nerfing as needs be. They fully intend to work with the community and us as ambassadors to do this and bring in as much information as possible. So they really do want feedback. That was very important to them. They wanted feedback. And they firmly believe that they need the players' information and feedback to do this. That's the best way forward, that they see that. Which is great. Listening to the community is always really good. So the next section, the gun skills and gameplay. Every gun has its own recoil pattern. There will be guns with unique recoil patterns, and that depends on totally how you're firing the gun. All explosive guns have projectile and splash damage. Mods can also add splash damage to a gun. You can build your character towards some specific gun classes using the character tree, but it's entirely up to you if you choose to use these particular nodes. It's more about if one particular gun will work with your particular build on approach. The nodes change the way guns behave rather than just adding raw damage, which is what I found with my gameplay when I picked up an SMG. The synergy all of a sudden became a thing with my skills, and I was way more powerful than what I was previously. You're going to have access to 8 skills in total, and then you can just choose which 3 you want to use. The skills have items that allow for modifications, and some of these modifications are connected to then skills in the skill tree as well. And then also as well on top of that, there's going to be additional mods that then could amplify them skills on weapons as well. So a lot of way of buffing your skills. Some epic variants of guns have randomized modifications which can impact the appearance of a gun. The more unique the gun, the more art and gunplay are connected. So if you find a really rare gun, chances are that you actually might be the only person you'll ever see with that gun. The importance of cover was entirely dependent on the character that you was building. You can create a character that avoids cover entirely, or you can create a character that's actually reliant on cover. Playing aggressively will be really rewarding, as we've seen. For others, different approaches will become rewarding because of how you built the character. And therefore then it might actually be wiser to stay in cover. But again, they wanted that to all be down to personal playstyle, and Outriders does accommodate both playstyles. If you don't want a really hard challenge, and you just want to be able to chill and sit back and just kind of breeze your way through it, take in some of the story, you can adjust the world tier at any time. And that's also dependent on what you feel like on that particular day, so that's just something you can do on the fly. If you really want to test yourself, obviously you can do that in the opposite direction and adjust the world tier up and make it really hard for you as well. So they've designed Outriders to be able to accommodate both casual and hardcore players. So next we're going to move on to the lore. They talked about the anomaly and how it's causing an overlap between nature and technology. There's lots of technology from Earth that's been destroyed by the anomaly, and people and items that bond with the anomaly become something brand new and very special. Just like the player's character has been altered, but this also happens with technology in the game as well. There's going to be different factions who believe different things about what has happened to Earth. Some people believe it was experimentations, but really nobody knows. They also thought that actually what happened on Earth, why would that not just happen on Enoch as well? But that's going to be down to the story. There's different characters again believe different things. There's characters in the prologue who believe that Enoch will be the same situation as Earth and has very little hope left, but no one's certain about the future of mankind at all. So most of Enoch's fauna and flora want to kill humans. So the only real hostile relations are between humans and the planet, not between the flora and the fauna on Enoch. Factions won't be fighting each other. The player is the main killer of bad stuff on the planet. There is also more than one monster hunt quest in the game. There are loads and loads of different types of monsters. I'm not sure what that relates to, but that's just the information they give us. And last but not least, we'll move on to the closing words from the Q&A. They said making the game has been a lot of work. It's been a lot of stress and a lot of challenges, but they're very proud right now of what they've made. They said every aspect of the game production has had its own ups and downs, and it's had its own pros and cons. For instance, they tested the game being 4 players and 3 players, and they've done a lot of testing behind the scenes like that to try and achieve certain balances. One of the developers, he said his favourite part of the game was working on the skills and the class trees, and he said he's really proud of how there seems to be this huge amount of potential for different types of builds and how different kinds of skills and classes all work together. And that was it. That was our time up. Hopefully we're going to get another Q&A session soon. So like I said, any questions, hit me up in the comments down below. Come and see me on Twitch, or come and grab me in the Discord where we have our own Outriders section full of all the latest and greatest information. Thank you for watching everybody. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope this has been useful information. Again, hit that subscribe button. Give me a thumbs up to help with the YouTube algorithm. I really would appreciate it. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.